I am a park ranger in the Southwest American desert. One night, volunteers at one of my parks called us to report a still smoldering, smoking car in one of our remote campsites. It was normal for stolen cars to get abandoned and burned in remote areas. We went to look and gawked for a couple minutes while waiting for the fire department. After a couple minutes of standing there, it became very apparent that there was a body in the front seat. After an additional look around, food wrappers, rope, and numerous other strange items were found. It seemed like whoever was in the front seat had been bound and shot multiple times before the car was set on fire. Police came and cleaned it up, but they didn't find any answers beyond the obvious. We now refer to that section of the park as the haunted site. When I was about 7 years old, I went on a walk with my babysitter. We were walking back a mile or so to my house, and about halfway there, she tells me that we should play Simon Says. At first, we walk faster, then skip, and then jog lightly. Then, she says, Simon Says run as fast as you can. Simon Says turn here. I was slightly confused, but played along. As we turned down the driveway, I looked back and saw two guys chasing after us, one with a bat and the other with a knife. We ran up to a house, and thankfully, some old people living there let us in. At the time, I didn't grasp how messed up it was that we were being chased, and I still have no clue why we were. It was the middle of the night, in my cabin, in the middle of nowhere. You wouldn't know it was there unless you knew where it was beforehand, or unless you walked right up to it. It was always really quiet up there, and that night I was tired and had fallen asleep quickly. Suddenly, a hunter fired a 12-gauge shotgun at a buck that was close to my cabin while I was sleeping inside. They didn't know my cabin was even there because the roof was shallow, it was dark, and the roof and walls blended in to the surrounding vegetation. They were aiming for its lungs and aimed too low, and the rest of the spray went over the ridge and into my cabin. 4 shotgun pellets landed in the wall just above my chest. If I had been sitting upright or standing, the buckshot would have gone into my head or chest. They were really apologetic, and I knew both of them, so a few days later, they generously gave me the back straps and a few other good pieces. I was driving home late one night. There were virtually no other cars on the road. Eventually, I noticed a cop car had zoomed up close behind me, as if to pull me over. Only something was off. I couldn't tell how long it had actually been behind me, because there was no siren and none of the lights were on. No little police laptop, not even the headlights. In any event, realizing a cop was riding my tail, I pulled over regardless. I was an 18 or 19-year-old black kid who had just moved from the inner city, so my instinct was to comply. But looking back, I definitely should have kept driving. Anyway, the patrol car pulled in behind me. But whoever was in the patrol car didn't get out, didn't turn on the lights, and didn't turn on the siren. The only illumination was a few of those sickly yellow street lamps a block or so away, and with no passing cars, I couldn't see into the patrol car, so all I could see was a hardly discernible silhouette in the driver's seat. I sat there for a while. I don't remember how long, but it had to have been around 5 minutes of near total silence. I remember just being puzzled at first, and even swore under my breath a few times. But I just sat there, staring into the dark patrol car through my rearview mirror. And then my brain began to turn over. There was a creeping feeling that I was in danger, and it clicked that I was either being pranked or I was about to be subject to something much worse. Finally, I calmly started my engine and pulled away. The patrol car did not follow. The way my bedroom was laid out was that across the room from my bed, there is a small alcove that does not receive any light because of the closet that's slightly in front of it. So the closet blocks the ceiling light and the ambient light from outside whenever it's dark. I was in my 4th year of high school and was trying to sleep, but couldn't. Do you know that feeling when someone's staring at you? It felt like there was so much malicious intent. I opened my eyes, and my gaze was drawn to that dark corner of the room, where I saw a hazy, darker outline in it. I got goosebumps, but I tried to convince myself that there was nothing there. I'm just imagining things. I close my eyes again, trying to force myself to get to sleep, but I can't shake that evil feeling stare. I open my eyes again, and that shadow was looming right beside my bed, bent over me, staring right down at me. All my inner senses went ballistic, and I threw my pillow and blanket over my head and cried myself to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, there were doors and windows open that I make sure to shut every night before I go to bed.